Welcome, everybody. If you're a first timer, welcome. What stress does? Stress affects the mind. Now, I don't know if we have anybody on who's ever experienced any stress and your mind was not a part of it. Because it is the mind that we first experience, the thoughts that race, and sometimes they race so badly that you can't sleep. Sometimes you feel like they become incoherent, like you can't keep up with your own thoughts. And so you become inefficient, you become flustered, you become irritable. It's in those moments that you tend to push friends and family away. It's in those times that you feel you cannot relax, you can't sleep well. You're so irritable that you tend to be biting at everyone and everything, and it affects your reflexes. And I don't know if there's anybody here who's ever experienced stress and you feel like you are just so slow. Is there anybody? And I could put my hand up for that. You feel so stressed out that at times you feel slow, like you're not connecting at all. You are out of it. You can't remember things. It affects your body. It's not just your mind. One of the things that we notice first when we become stressed is that either we find ourselves eating too much or we find ourselves not eating enough. So you find yourself overeating or undereating. Either extreme is not good for us, right? So you also feel as if you have no energy. Stress does that. Stress, welcome. I see you, Sharon, welcome. Stress does that. Everything seems 10 times as hard when you are experiencing any level of stress. Stress affects not just your mind and your body. Stress affects your spirit. What do I mean by that? You find that you become pessimistic, you become depressed easily. It becomes hard to pray, even for the fervent believer. You become uncaring and sloppy. Sometimes stress makes people feel like they don't even want to shower. You don't want to change your clothes. You don't want to get out of bed. When was the last time you even made your bed? When was the last time you probably even changed those PJs? You don't know, you don't care, it doesn't matter. That's where you are at. Your whole spirit is affected and you become vulnerable to wrong. Like everything, it feels like everyone is just wronging you at some point. That's because of the level of your stress. So what is stress? I talk about things affecting your mind, your body, your spirit. Stress is what you feel when you have to handle more than you are used to. That's what stress is generally on a whole. You feel like you have to handle more than you are used to. And guess what? You feel like you can't manage. You just cannot manage. So stress is your response to changes, challenges, or threats that occur in your life. That's what stress is. Any major change, challenge, threat, anything that gets you to that place where you feel like this is too much to handle. I can't manage it. I'm not used to this. This is what stress is. And so what we develop in that moment is what stress does to the body. We either go into a fight or flight. Now, those of you who've been kind of following me since we started this July, I think early July, your body responds as though you are in danger. It's the fight or flight. So the body produces hormones that speed up the heart. And you actually feel like you are in a fight. You start to breathe harder. You gain a burst of energy, of anxiety, and stuff like that. This kind of anxious moment, like it's a button that was pressed and you have no control. And you just feel like I'm going to crash, something's going to happen, and you're breathing harder, you can't sleep, you're frightened out of your sleep, you're waking up at night, sweating profusely, panting maybe even because you just cannot sleep. That's high stress that you're experiencing. However, we want to not lose sight of the fact that there is good stress, right? Yeah, how could we associate that? Some stress is normal and even useful, right? So think of getting that paper done. If you're in school, think of getting that appointment, whatever it is that you have to do, and you have a whole long list. Each time you check something off, it's a level of stress, but it feels good because you're getting something done. Stress can help you to get work done. There are many of us who are procrastinators, and it's at the last minute that we actually do whatever it is. The paper is due, you know, since you entered the course, a whole term. Yet it's the night before. But what you found yourself experiencing at that time is that you have this burst of anxiety, yet energy to get this done. You stay up all night. I did that a lot in college. And truth be told, I did some of my best papers at that time. I'm propelled by the stress. But there were other papers for sure that I didn't do the best. It's just hurried, it's rushed, because I did not spend time to get into it. I waited till the last minute. But some of us are propelled by last minute activities. That's stress. But for you, it worked in that moment as good stress. So it can even help you meet important deadlines. And we want to remember that for sure, right? So stress is not always bad. There is good stress. But I find that mostly that's not the one that we are bothered by. It's not the good stress. It's the one that keeps up. Yes, like you say, short-term memory lapse. You are overwhelmed. You can't sleep. When last have you had even 4 hours of good sleep? Difficult. So let's look at some of the symptoms of stress. Physically, we get headaches. Some people experience nausea. Others have this constant back pain. You get all kinds of massages and the back pain is still there. You get insomnia, which is you're not sleeping. You get weakened immune system. You catch a cold every other week. Every other week, you are not well because you are really stressed and it takes a toll on your body physically. And then we have the mental symptoms. We have the negative thoughts. I mentioned some of those, just very pessimistic. Everything is doom and gloom. Even when others try to make you see the positive about the situation, you just feel like the world is caving in. You just feel like this is not going to turn out well. There can be no good in this. I don't know why you are so optimistic because I can't see any good in it. That is when you get into the spiral of overthinking. It's mental stress. People who struggle to see positively a situation are people who are overwhelmed many times by stress. They cannot see it. They turn the direction every way and they still cannot see the good. Because the truth about overcoming stress, or the mental part of stress, is the ability to reframe your thinking. And if you're never at that place to reframe your thinking, it could likely mean that, in addition to many other things, that could be mental health issues going on here, but one of the main causes is the mental stress that you could be experiencing. And we have the emotional stress. You're moody. Oh my God, you're so moody that your color changes constantly. You are like at extreme poles. So you're happy right now, laughing, and 2 minutes, in seconds even, some people just switch and you're like, what happened? Stress. They get moody, tense, depressed. Some people are so stressed emotionally that they forget what their real mood, who they really are, because they long to meet the real self. They haven't met their real selves for a long time. The mood switches so much that you don't even know who you are anymore. Stress can do that to you. There are also behavioral symptoms. You begin to see it. People withdraw from friends. People withdraw from family, their poor performance in their jobs, their roles, whatever duties, just a lot of behavioral things, yelling and barking, with just isolating, not going anywhere, not having any interest to contact anyone, any friends, anything, and you get into a slump. And that adds other layers to it, because now you're adding all kinds of depression and sadness and gloom. And some people, the extent of stress leads to anger, extreme anger. You're angry at the whole world. You're angry at everyone. You don't even know why you're angry. You're just angry. And that comes a lot from the premise of stress. It started out that way and it just got bigger into what seemed like the uncontrollable. And so when one feels like this, we find that we develop unhealthy stress habits. So someone who's heavily stressed will find themselves maybe overeating or undereating. I mentioned that before. You're just eating constantly. You don't anything to not make you think, anything to not make you find yourself in a place that you are with your own self and thoughts. So you say, I'm just bored. I'm eating because I'm bored. It's not exactly because you're bored. It's because you are afraid to be silent with your own thoughts, with your own self. And so it's a constant overeating. And then those who undereat because they don't even feel hungry. Someone has to literally remind you, you haven't eaten all day. And you're like, really, I feel full. So you undereat. This is also a stress habit. Some people become TV addicts, computer addicts, text addicts, just phone addicts. Anything to keep you from facing the reality of your own world. That's a habit that many people develop. And then those who I mentioned before just withdraw from activities, even church. Some people stop going. Some people stop calling. Maybe you had a powerful ministry or you were the friendly type, the person who would always reach out to others. You stop. It's like you don't have the energy or you don't want to or you're tired. And then you begin to feel like I keep giving and nobody else pours into me. The pessimistic thinking comes. And sometimes that may be true, but many times it's not true. And if you really stop to look at it, you say, you know what? Maybe the 5 persons over here are not the ones who pour into me, but here are 5 new people who pour into me, but you can't see it because you expected from the 5, let's say, or from 4 of the 5. And what you find that you're experiencing is that you have no capacity to see any good in the situation. So you just withdraw from everybody. The people who care for you and even those who don't care, you just decide, no one cares for me and I'm going to withdraw. You also have the extreme of people lashing out. Just lashing out. You find yourself just biting off everybody's head. Nobody can speak to you, whether in gentleness or kindness or correct you in any way or even share something exciting. They can't. Your excitement is a higher stress level for that person who's already stressed, right? So you don't get it. The person looking on just cannot get. Why is it that, I mean, this is good news. I'm just sharing the excitement. They are not able, the person under stress in that moment is not able, it would seem, to embrace that. So what we have happening here is that there are a series of excesses, right? We excessively eat or don't eat. We excessively withdraw or not from people, or we crowd ourselves with all these people in our lives who are, if you were not under stress, you wouldn't even have had these people in your life. Because when you stop to look at it outside of the stress period, when you pull back, you realize that they were not adding anything good for you, but you found yourself in a period of stress that you overloaded yourself with all these excesses, and some have become baggages. And you thought in having more, it would lessen the stress. But it doesn't always work that way. Some people resort to using pills or drugs. And it's not just substances, illegal substances. Some people use psychotropic drugs excessively. Some people use prescription drugs excessively just to silence the noise in their heads, the stress in their heads, or what it is that they feel. And so you put yourself to bed by taking Tylenol every night, not because you have a cold or suffering from any flu or anything, but because it's like a drug that you use to get yourself there. Some people just sleep too much. You sleep in the day, you sleep at night, you just sleep because there's no other way to avoid that which you are feeling emotionally, mentally, physically. And so we find you have people just sleeping excessively. And then those who procrastinate, you just decide, I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. Like, I don't even want to pay the bills. I don't care if the kids go to school. I don't care if anybody eats. Like, I just don't care. So you just procrastinate. You have the assignments due. You don't care. You're getting failing grades. It still doesn't matter. That's just your habit to cope in this moment. And remember, we're talking about unhealthy stress habits. And then there are those who fill up their days to avoid the problem. You just fill your days with the important and the unimportant. Anything that guarantees you a distraction. So you spend your whole day. And isn't Apple something when they give you at the end of the day or week, how you've used your phone and how many hours more you used this week? And you thought, what did I do? Well, you were texting everybody. You were on everybody's feed on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything. It wasn't like you were doing anything profitable. And then you stayed on those social media feeds and stress yourself out more because you look, oh, why can't I be like that person? Why can't I look like that person? Oh my God, look at them taking all these vacations and I'm here stressed. Look at them, where did they get all that money? Oh my God, that girl and I went to school at the same time. Oh, look how well they look. Maybe I shouldn't have had any children. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have gone into teaching. Or wait, maybe I shouldn't have been a psychotherapist because there's no money in it. Wait, what? How come their life is like this? And I'm a Christian and they're not, because we like to add that piece too. And so you fill your day up with even more things that will drive you into a higher stress zone and level without realizing that this is what you're doing to yourself. And then what do? We begin to curse our luck. And we say, if it wasn't for this person, if I was raised in a different family, maybe if my parents had taught me this, or maybe if I was not, if my father was present, or maybe if my mother didn't walk out, or maybe if we had known how to make money from early, all kinds of, we just begin to find reasons to curse our luck. But the real issue is stress is the underlying factor in your thinking. And it creates these kinds of habits. And so how do we manage stress? How do we manage all of this that goes on around us in our lives every day, everywhere? I don't know any person that has never experienced stress. And if you are here and you've never experienced stress, kudos to you. I salute you. Stress comes in different forms, different ways, and we're going to look how we can take charge of this. The first thing I want to tell you, and I've been saying it, and if you've been here with me for these 3-4 months going, this is a recurring decimal. Your thoughts. Your thoughts are critical. I'm sure it was probably last month I told you about remember your cup of tea. Tea, your thought. Your thought drives every single thing that you experience. Your thought is the underlying factor that creates the little molehill or the massive mountain. It's your thoughts. So when you think of T, as in TEA, was one of the coping skills I shared with you. I'm almost certain it was last month or maybe in other sessions. But just to say to you, that T is important. You have to stop and evaluate, what am I thinking right now? What's driving me right now? What was the last thing I just thought of before I began to feel this way? Because that T affects the E, the emotion. Whatever you think, however you think about a situation, it's going to affect what you feel thereafter. So if you watched a movie and you saw something and it's exciting and you feel great, your thought is, oh my God, that's such a beautiful thing. Oh, that reminds me of my life, and it's so good. If you watch that and it's a trigger point and you begin to say, oh, this is not a movie, this is just exactly what I feel, and you realize you start to cuss out even the actors in the movie. You're just telling, hey, it was already staged in Hollywood. Okay, so go easy on those guys. They're making their money. It's your stress. Okay, think about exactly what you are thinking. I know even movies hit so close to home, but it's not the guy in the movie. The guy's just an actor, right? Go easy. You don't need to break the TV or anything like that. Your thought about it is what's driving the emotion. So take charge of your thoughts, take charge of your emotions. And that A, if you can control your thinking and what it makes you feel, then you control A, the action, which is the behavior. So if you tell yourself, oh, not today, not today, I'm not going there with you today, not that thought. I'm going to reframe this. How can I reframe it? How can I look at it differently? Reframing is literally like taking a picture out of a frame and giving it a newer frame that makes the old picture look beautiful. That's what reframing is. I'm going to see it through a different worldview, a different point of view, and I'm going to think something positively about it. I told you guys how I had to reframe my own thinking when I lost my job in COVID. I had to look at it differently. Okay, what am I going to do? Sit and mope? Think about it differently. You know what? In my cousin's words, this is a promotion. This is going to be a promotion. God must have something massive for me that my job would be keeping me down. And I don't care if people want to say I'm rationalizing it. Too bad. It works for me. It keeps me out of the stress, and it gives me a new emotion. New hormones driving me, adrenaline, and it makes me want to do something that's going to make me feel better, do something that's better for me. That's action. That's your cup of tea every single day. And I want to remind you, take your cup of tea, evaluate your thoughts, think about the emotions they give you, and look at the action those emotions drive you into. Don't throw no pity party, buying soda and popcorn and chips and sit down, poor me, why my life is like this. And you sit, I'm just here getting fat because of COVID. That's your thinking about it. It's your thinking. All those thoughts are in your head. If you say, you know what? Oh, not today. I'm going to be thinking something differently. Okay, how can I change this situation? What else can I do differently to make it work? The minute that emotion start to get going for you, oh, you're in a sphere of, yes, thoughts are flowing, my thinking juice is flowing, and I need pen and paper. I have ideas. I'm going to get this out. This is how you take charge of your stress. Evaluate how you're thinking about it. Another way to do that too, outside of taking your cup of tea, is literally and physically, you need to monitor and manage your schedule. Because if you're tired, if you're constantly tired because you really are doing a lot physically, you're not going to be able to pick yourself up. You have to be rested, getting enough sleep, eating right as best as you can. And your schedule is important to keep you or to keep your stress level at a minimum. Another thing that's very important to take charge of is your relationships. I've said it here and I'm going to say it again. The people you surround yourself with, the circle that you have around you, if people keep draining you and are negative around you, what do you think you are going to experience? Right? Birds of a feather flock together. Show me your friend and I'll know who you are. If you continue to surround yourself with people who suck from you every day without contributing anything to you, in other words, they're parasites and not sacrifice. They're not contributing to you and getting from you, and you're contributing to each other. They're leeches and they pull from you every single day. And everything you do is never good enough. They don't celebrate you. They don't make you feel good about you. Actually, when you leave their presence or their social media page, you feel worse about yourself. Let me tell you, you do not need that relationship, or you're going to continue to be stressed, because you're going to want the house they have, the car they have, the job they have, the money they have, the man they have, the woman they have. You're going to keep wanting what they have. And as long as you don't have it, you're going to be overcome by stress. So your environment is important for the seed in you to grow. That's St. John 15. The Bible tells us that. There is a seed deposited in you and it must grow, and it's the environment that's going to make it grow or not, right? You can have the best of seed, pay the most for it, and it doesn't grow if it's in the wrong environment, where it's stifled, wrong soil, no sunlight, nothing. And that's what the people around you will determine for you, the environment that you have. If every single thing, every idea you have, and you share it, where you come with that fool idea? Where you get that stupid idea? If every idea you have is stupid and is shut down and is not given a chance to grow or breathe, that is not the environment for you. It is not. The Lord told Jacob to get up and leave his uncle Laban's place because it was not an environment in which he could grow. He was there for over 20 years and his uncle still never treated him right, robbed him out of everything. The Lord said, this is not the environment for you. It's important that you foster an environment in which you can grow. And that's something that you can choose. And sometimes you can't immediately leave the environment that you are in. You have to find a way to tune out that which comes to you from the external. Tune it out as best you can. Strategize how you will bring yourself out of that environment. Because I believe, as someone says, that you must go where you are celebrated, not tolerated. Not tolerated. So it's important that you manage stress, in the way you think, because the thoughts trigger how you feel and how you schedule yourself, how you build relationships, the kind of people and the environment around you, and the way naturally that you deal with your problems. Those are important things for you to factor as you manage stress. How do you strengthen your mind? Strengthen your mind by reading uplifting literature. So if the news depresses you, please turn it off. Scroll through the news on your phone if you can, and just choose to read the one that talks about maybe somebody doing good in the world. Sift out that which you are feeding your mind on. It's important that you process that. Listen to good music. Listen to good music. You need to get yourself into a place where you listen to something that lifts you up and gives you the oomph, the thought that's going to drive you to go on. And if gospel does that for you, if just being in the presence of God does that for you, go for it. But I know, even for the most ardent and committed believer, sometimes when you're so heavily laden with stress, you can't even pray. There's nothing to say, and there's not even a scripture. Your friends send you a text, they send you a word, and it does nothing to you. Sometimes it makes you more angry than you were feeling before because of where you are at. So listen to good music. If you're watching a movie, please ease off Lifetime for troubled women and go watch some good Law and Order or solving some case or anything that's gonna take your mood out of where you are at. You can't continue to be watching the same movies that are depressing you because they resemble your situation. Watch something else. Lethal Weapon, something that's funny and hilarious and gives you a different mood in the moment, right? It's important that you try to do the opposite of what you're feeling. Discussion, for heaven's sake, for heaven's sake. As you strengthen your mind by reading, listening to good music, watching a good movie, discussions that you have with people, do not take on unwholesome ideas, discussion. If our friends on the South is a trigger for you, don't have any conversation with anyone about it. If it is politics that's a trigger for you, don't have any discussion with anyone about it. If it's a COVID issue, do not discuss issues that are trigger points for you, not when you are already stressed. And also in this moment, you want to build good friendships, cultivate reliable friendships. And as a therapist, I'm going to tell you, you cannot rule out the fact that if this is extreme, if this has been going on for a while, if your thoughts are now to the point where you probably are even having suicidal ideations, and even if it doesn't get there, but it's to the place where you are in this dark hole, I want to say to you, please seek out a therapist. Identify a counselor and speak to someone. In the meantime, if yours is not to that place where you need to speak to someone, you may have very good friends. You may have your ride or die friends that they're with you. Yes and amen is how they are with you. They are with you when you're strong. They're with you when you're weak. That's what you need. You need someone that you can text in the moment, in your deepest stressful moment, and say, I'm just overwhelmed. I am just overwhelmed. And sometimes there's nothing they will say but just listen to you, or just send you hugs, or you just know that they're there, or send you a voice note that will encourage and lift you up. And in the meantime, you also can find that hobby in you and create a happy place. Whatever it is that you do well, that you enjoy, maybe it's just playing Uno with your kids. Maybe it is just doing Scrabble with someone else in your household. Whatever it is. Maybe it's knitting, going back to the knitting. Anything that you do. It could be a simple escape. My escape on my phone is literally Wordscape. And in those moments, I just do as many of those puzzles. And just thinking about what the words could do, shift your thinking and distract you and help you to cope. How do you strengthen? So that's strengthening your mind. How do you strengthen your body? And for this, I have used an acronym that I call SERVE, as in S-E-R-V-E. Think of the S as in sleep. You have to find the time that suits you best, but you must sleep, right? Maybe you're the nocturnal person and you can stay up at night, that's fine, right? I am the morning person, so I will go to bed early enough at night so I can get up. I'll be up maybe from 4 and I'm good, and 5. And most days, I'm okay on those days. Not all the time. Sometimes 10 o'clock, I don't want to get up. But you have to find what works for you to get rest and make that time your rest time. Sleep in the day if you're the person who works all night. Don't let anybody guilt trip you about that. If you work at night, if that's when your thoughts flow, if that's when you get things done, your papers, your exams, your new ideas, your businesses, whatever, then get your full 6 to 8 hours sleep in the day if you must. Right? But you must find an appropriate time to get adequate sleep. And the E, eat right, eat healthy. You can't live on carbs and expect to have, to feel good in your body. You're gonna feel heavy and sluggish all the time and lethargic. It's important that you try as best as you can. And I'm no dietitian, so I'm not here or a nutritionist to give you any formula on that. But it's important that you try to balance your meals. Eat right, eat healthy. And as well for your R, relax, take a time out. Okay, take a time out. It's important that you do that. Just some days, Get up and you probably feel like Bruno Mars. Today, I just don't feel like doing anything. I just want to stay in my bed. Just relax. Keep your PJs on, read a book, drink some hot chocolate, or if you're in the tropics, maybe not, some cold lemonade, and just chill that day. Put your worship on, your favorite worship or your favorite music, pop song, hip hop, whatever it is that gets you in the groove of relaxation and fun and something different. Who says that you have to clean every day? Who says that? Is there an inspector coming to, I don't know, check your, who says you have to do anything? You can choose a day to just relax and not do anything. Just eat and chill, read a book. When's the last time you've read a book? When's the last time you've really watched a wholesome movie? Other than the same ones putting you in depression. Watch a documentary, get some information that's wholesome for you. And of course, the V, your vitamins. Vitamins are important, my friends. They're important. Yes, I see that, Gloria. Self-care. This is about self-care. So if you're not eating right, if you're not having everything you need, you probably financially cannot give yourself the best healthy diet you can right now, but maybe you can get some supplements. And, take your vitamins, ask your doctor, get checked on what's right for you, what's the basic, do what you need to do. And don't forget for the E, exercise. So that's your serve. Sleep, eat right, relax, take your vitamins and exercise. Play a sport, bust some sweat, do something. Do something. We're inside, we've been for a long time. Do something. Maybe you have the opportunity to go out back and garden if you can. Do something that will make you sweat, that will, even if it's in the moment, just to be doing some stretches and push-ups, something. Do something that will make you get some exercise. Maybe that's where the spring cleaning might come in for you that particular day, but do something that will give you exercise. It's important because that is how we strengthen our bodies. And you want to strengthen your spirit because we are spirit beings. Develop a good relationship with God, whomever you consider him to be. It's important that you form a relationship with your God, with someone that's bigger than yourself. I'm just going to say this unapologetically. If your God sits on your dresser or on your chest of drawer or wherever it is, it's like that cannot be bigger than you. If you have to move your God from one place to the next. Your God must be bigger than you. Someone who is going to be able to deal with your circumstances. Establish a relationship with the divine being that is able, who is bigger than your situation, who will give you wisdom to discern the things that you should do and the ways you should go and the people you should shed from your life. And establish it, make it close and personal so that even when you're suffering from insomnia, when you can't sleep at night, you have someone to talk to. You have someone that you can present your struggles to. And that you can hear him as he speaks to your spirit through a song, through a word, through someone's text, through your own thoughts. He speaks to you. And you also want to strengthen your spirit by doing something good. Do something good for others. You're good at baking. You're good at, knitting. You're good at something. Enroll yourself in a club. And if you can't do any of that right now, get yourself in a place where you can give. You can deliver boxes to people. You can put stuff together. Maybe your gift is just to encourage people. Maybe you're an encourager. And every single morning, you can get up in the hours you can't sleep, create a little diary or journal or note on your phone, and you can send that out to people to encourage them every day, to someone. Do something good. Contribute to others, because it is in the giving that you receive. And it is in the giving that you receive, not just financially or tangibly in that way, but you receive as well that blessing of someone else was blessed by the word I sent or by what I did or There is a gift in you. There is a talent in you. Use it to contribute to others and be blessed by just the satisfaction that people receive when you give to them. If you are so busy just building your kingdom, building your life, building your business, that you have no time to give to anyone else, I guarantee you, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how successful you become, you will still be miserable. You will still be miserable. You have to give to others freely, not expecting anything, because it is in the giving that the greatest satisfaction comes to you. Develop a positive outlook as well. As you build, in the process of strengthening your spirit, you must develop a positive outlook and talk in optimistic terms to yourself. The scripture tells us that David encouraged himself in the Lord. And even if you're not a believer and you're on here today, speak positive to yourself. Get up and tell yourself, not today. Not today, not today, Satan, not today. You're not going to get my mind, or whatever force you believe is bringing that negativity to your mind. You counteract it. Not today. Today, I'm going to believe that it is well. Today, I'm going to believe that I can overcome. Today, I'm going to get up. I'm going to pray, slay, and conquer the day. Today, I am a champion. Today, I'm going to accomplish all the things I thought I could. Today. It's important that you speak to yourself and encourage yourself. So I'm going to wrap up here quickly. There are two ways, and Maya Angelou said it well. If you don't like the situation you're in, well, you need to change your attitude. Either you leave or you're going to change your attitude about it. So it's important that we manage stress by altering our situation however we can. If you don't like something, change it. If you can change it, change your attitude towards it. And that's one of the models that even in DBT, that's one of the skills I use so often with clients. I call it scasm. Dialectical behavior therapy doesn't call it scasm. But scasm for me is a principle that they explain. If you have a stressful situation, if you have a problem, whatever it is, there are 5 questions that I process for myself, that DBT teaches, but I call it scasm. And I say to someone, okay, can you solve the problem? Can you just do something and solve the problem? Often it's no, I can't solve the problem, okay? Well, if you can't solve the problem, C, so that's the S, can you solve the problem? C, can you change your attitude towards it? Most times, clients will say, I could try. So at least here's a loophole that there's something you can do. Can you change your attitude towards how you view this? Because the truth is, we can't change anyone outside of ourselves. And A, so it's SCA. A is, can you accept the situation? Right? And it's hard to accept. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It's hard to accept situations that we don't find pleasing, that is not what we want. It's hard. But accepting is realizing there is nothing I can do about it. And so I'm just going to accept that it is what it is. It is what it is. I can't do anything about COVID. It is what it is. Or, and there's another S, so SCAS. Do you want to stay miserable? That's an option. That's still an option. You could stay miserable. And many people choose that option, actually. They like to stay miserable because if they don't stay miserable, they have nothing to complain about. And we have to understand, how is it working for you? Because if it's the complaining and it's getting you what you want, great. You're getting everybody to hear how you complain. Maybe that's what you want. That's fine. You're not stressed. You're just looking an audience. But if you are complaining and nothing is happening, then maybe staying miserable is not what you want. And the last one, the M, SCASM. The M is, you can make it worse. That's still an option. Do you want to make it worse? You want to make the stress worse? Or do you want to say, you know what? I actually can do what the late Maya Angelou mentioned. I can change the situation, or I can change my reaction towards it, right? So you have to learn to say no sometimes in those situations. As you avoid the stressor, maybe saying no to someone. And I've come to learn, as the Bishop T.D. Jakes says, and he says, no is a full sentence. It doesn't need a comma, anything to endorse it. It doesn't need, no is a full sentence. No. Sometimes you have to just say no to the people or the situations or whatever it is that's causing you stress. That is the stressor. That is the trigger. And you have to learn to say no. And it's okay to say no. Do not bite off more than you can chew. Avoid the people who stress you out. They invite you for lunch. No, I'm sorry, I don't have the time today. Why do you need to force yourself to go if you don't want to go? Take control of your environment. Avoid the hot button topics that push you into it. And like I said, you need to schedule, peer down your to-do list, because sometimes you probably are crowding yourself with too many things in the whole process, right? So as you alter your situation, express your feelings calmly. You don't need to fight with anyone, and you don't need to bottle them up. You're just not able to go today. I just can't. That's it. It's a full sentence right there. And be willing to compromise sometimes on things that are trivial. Some people just sweat the small stuff. So, it's important to ask yourself, how does it affect the price of cheese? Really? Is this worth the fight? Is this worth the battle? Is this worth losing the relationship because of the trivial matter? Just let it go. It doesn't affect the price of cheese or sliced bread, like nothing. The world doesn't change if you don't hold on to your point. It's okay, right? It's okay. So you want to be able to alter those situations, adapt to the stressor, like I said, by reframing the problem. Look at the big picture. Adjust your standard. Sometimes your standard is way out. It's too demanding. Adjust it, okay? Maybe think of even the kid. It's a kid. They're going to spill. They're going to mess up. They're going to just adjust your standard. Things happen. You don't have to sweat it. Don't sweat the small stuff. And focus on the positive. Focus on the positive. And listen, as we close here, I want to say to you, don't try to control the uncontrollable situation. There's no one, absolutely no one outside of yourself that you can control. No one. No one. Right? So if the situation is uncontrollable, just like the rain, the wind, the weather, the snow, the sun, we can't control those things. There are situations and people in our lives we cannot control. There are circumstances in our lives we can't control. Right? So don't try to control the uncontrollable. It is like pushing upstream. It's like swimming upstream. It's important that you accept, and learn to forgive. Some people who hurt you, just learn to forgive. Take a walk, call a good friend, sweat out the workout and sweat, write in your journal, anything, get a massage, have a hot drink or a cold drink, work out in anything that will lift your spirit and take you off some of the situations that's driving you crazy. And the last thing I want to say to you here is, when everything else fails, remember the Serenity prayer. I love this prayer. And I run to it a lot all the time. I speak it to myself all the time. It says, Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You have to have the wisdom to know what's out of your reach to control. And if you can't control it, then it's not for you to. Let the divine power, let God do his thing. Let the chips fall where they may. Let time heal it. But it's not for you to control everything, because you can't. And the sooner you realize that, the less stress you will have. And the sooner you take control of your schedule, the people around you, the thoughts that you're thinking, the less stress you'll have. Remember this, take your cup of tea every day. Think the first thing we notice is our feelings. You feel miserable. You're like, I just wake up miserable. Really? Yeah, maybe you did, but what was the first thought that hit your mind when you woke up? Was it the bills? Was it the person you were going to meet later that day? Was it going to work? Because sometimes that is a trigger. There was a thought that triggered that feeling. And that feeling is what drives the action from there on. So take care of yourself. Pray the Serenity prayer every day if you want, so that you may ask God to remind you, to give you the wisdom to know the difference between your controllables and your uncontrollables. Thank you so much for joining me. And